Greetings. Welcome to the second episode of the Happily Ever Understood podcast. My name is Melita Corpus. I'm the founder and chief listening officer of iListen. Today I have my good friend Darcy with me.
Hello.
We've known each other for about 7 years now.
Yes.
You were the senior HR business partner, and I was working on a contract for a short period of time at the company that we were working for. And yeah, we've kept in touch for all that time through social media.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely championed one another on each other's social media platforms and always just been that supportive light. So it's great to be back with you again.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So as an HR professional, you spend a good portion of your day
All day.
supporting employees at the organizations you work for.
Yep, absolutely. So, and recently, just with talking to you about what you're embarking on with iListen, you know, it got me reflecting that although I've been in HR for 17 years, I realized that the skill of listening is something that I've always tried to improve, tried to get better at. I recognize that it's just an absolute critical aspect of communicating.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
So
yes, it's a what I consider a very deceptively simple skill. But as we all know, there's a challenge in actually mastering that skill. So today we're going to focus on, you know, the details and the techniques on how to actually listen better and what I actually do in my business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So expand on that, Melita. Tell us more about what is iListen.
So iListen is basically, even the word says, I listen. But if we go deep down further into that word, it basically means, for me anyway, and I want my clients to feel the same way, is that I'm listening to you, not just listening, but I like to consider it almost like listening to your soul, right? Like to the heart of you. What are your hopes, your dreams? What are you worried about? You know, what haven't you been able to talk to other people about, sort of thing. That's what iListen means to me, and that's what I focus on for my clients.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm so glad to be here and find out more about what it is you do. Take us through a session. What does that look like?
Okay, so with my sessions, first of all, you can book them online. You can book them, you know, either 30, 45, or hour sessions. They're individual sessions. They're, of course, confidential. And I have different means I use. So I can do a session with you over the telephone, virtually, or by chat. And if you like the way I listen to you, you know, I invite you to my customers to book package bundles, right? And so in my sessions, that's where I become an active listener. I try to be an effective listener, and it's very different from your average listener.
Okay, so what does it mean to be an active listener?
Well, let's look at statistics. So statistics have shown that 2% of the population is actually formally trained.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite low.
Yeah.
And let's look at another statistic that we all shouldn't be proud of, and that's 75% of us are actually distracted, or we're preoccupied in our minds, right? Or we're just forgetful when we listen to somebody. How do we lower that rate? How do we improve this listening skill? The process of listening follows a sequence of behaviors, and I try to follow those behaviors when I'm with my client in a session. Actually, no, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I try to be more cognizant. I try to be more aware when I'm not just with a client, you know, with my friends, my families, you know, when I'm doing business, and everyone I meet on a daily basis. It's so important for me to show these people that I'm actually listening to them, focusing on them, right? So there's a difference between listening and hearing.
Yeah.
Hearing is more of a physical process. It's when the sound enters your ear, right? And it automatically happens, especially if you don't have any hearing issues. But listening and hearing, there is a difference. Listening requires more effort.
Yeah.
There's more physical effort. There's more mental effort.
Okay. So what is the process of listening?
Well, I don't want to get into the science of it because that's just not me. A lot of my listening came from obviously experience, right? So I'm a simple person with a simple service. I just provide listening.
So I think we need to be transparent about the fact that as much as we have wanting to just engage in a very transparent conversation, we've got a lot of ideas that we want to share and cover. So we have some cheat sheets going on.
That's great to note. So one of the first techniques that I use is basically when I'm in a session with a client, I'm on, right? Right away, I'm paying attention. I'm listening with intention. I'm listening, with concentration. So I provide that open space to listen to the person that wants to be heard. And I want my client to, I want to ensure that my client feels welcomed and feels comfortable enough to be able to share what they want to share, right? That's important to me. So virtually, when I'm on, you can tell right away, kind of in this 100%, setting too, right?
Yeah.
Usually I show that I'm more engaged with the client by leaning in more, even though it's a computer screen, right? And I'm actually focusing on their eyes, right? That's what I mean by kind of listening into their soul. When I look at them, I can kind of tell, right? So that's important too. And I provide, facial gestures, right?
Yeah.
I like using my hands.
Yeah.
When I do telephone service, telephone listening service, it's a little bit more of a challenge, right? But I use my voice, depending on the tone or the sound, to show that I'm actually listening to the client. I can sometimes tell if, my client's not kind of in the session by their tone of voice.
Right.
They might not even talk that much. So there might be a lot of dead silence sort of thing, right? So they might still want to be part of the conversation or part of the session, but they don't have a lot to say. So that's when I start to nudge them a little, but we'll get into that further. And with chat application, of course, that's a lot more difficult because now we're looking at, just like emails and text messages.
Right.
Everybody has a different interpretation, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so thank God for emojis.
Well, and you know what I find too is when you're communicating over a method where you can't see somebody, so text messages, email, we tend to impart the tone that we are perceiving, which may not have been the intended context or tone to the conversation.
Absolutely. That's why I think facial expressions are so important.
They are.
So an example of being on would be like this podcast, although the tables have turned because you're doing the listening, right? I mean, you can tell we're both engaging, right? Whether I'm doing most of the talking and listening or vice versa. When the person is listening, they're on, but just by you focusing on me, right? So the next technique would be not interrupting. That is so important, right? I will have clients that I may have to nudge a little bit more, or they do end up talking and I'm able to get a word in. And the only reason why I'd want to get a word in is because I just want to show them that, okay, I'm paying attention to you. I'm focusing, right? I really understand and, I'm hearing you. But then I've had some clients where right off the gate, man, they're talking, which I love, right? Because that's the purpose of my service, right? But I still even want to show those people that I'm still there with you, right, through the whole session. So I've had moments where, and it's still a work in progress, where I'm looking for that pause, that moment where I can say, hey, or or just add a little bit to show them that I'm engaged. So I end up interrupting them in the process, right? Because they'll talk. I get that maybe 2 or 3 seconds of silence, and so I'll start responding back. And then they go on to the next sentence right away. And so I'd have to say, oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, keep talking, right? Which is fine. Obviously, that's the purpose of my service. So, with interrupting, obviously, it's still a work in progress for me, but I want to show the client that I'm there for them, right? So the number 3 actual technique, I want to read you a quote from Don Miguel Ruiz. He's the author of the 4 Agreements.
Okay.
He says, listen to others without judging. All people have the right to believe whatever they want to believe. They have the right to say whatever they want to say. Instead of judging what other people say, listen and show respect. So I think this is one of the most important keys, is judging, not judging when you're listening to someone, because every human in the planet has an opinion, right? So just making sure you don't voice your opinion to the person talking, don't take a position on the issue, don't jump to any conclusions, make sure you keep an open mind, and adopt an attitude of acceptance and genuineness when you're listening to the person. Good listeners even have strong views. I tried to gain an understanding of the other's point of view just without withholding that judgment, right? So I listen to understand, and that also requires being empathetic, right? Showing empathy for the person, making sure you put yourself in their shoes, right? I've listened to a lot of people. I've listened to a lot of different views, and I've learned two things from my experience in listening with judgment. The first one is, and it's so important to me, is the person telling their story feels like they're heard. Yeah. That more than anything in this world is what I want them to walk away from, that, oh my God, someone really listened to me. And I mean, these people could be passionate about their political views. They may have a disagreement with a loved one, or, they told me about their troubled past. Regardless, just the fact that they feel comfortable enough to tell me all this, knowing that I'm not going to judge them, it's huge, right?
It's so huge.
Right.
Can I just go back real quick?
Yeah.
You were just saying about how, people want to be heard.
Yeah.
I think that is the number one, when we're communicating with each other from the time we are babies,
right?
Just embarking on that whole process of communication to being an adult, we want to be heard.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's the number one. If we feel we're not being heard, that's it.
Yeah.
It's shut off.
Yeah.
And we don't even want to bother talking.
Yeah.
Right.
And your behavior changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm reading this book now. It's an older book from the 1980s, but it's about listening so your kids can talk to you.
I remember that.
Yeah. So I'm in the process. Actually, and actually I'll get into that later. But there's a reason why I'm reading that book, not just for my kids, but I'm hoping to share this, this information to educate, parents.
That is a valuable book. I actually resourced that book in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
When my oldest were little kids.
I
did. I picked certain aspects from that book.
And did you find it helped?
It did.
Oh, yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. And the fact that I feel like we can we can help these children, right? It's before it was, you listen to your elders, your parents, right? But no, you got to listen to the kids too, for
100%,
sure. Yeah. So the second thing that I've learned with this, listening with judgment, is I have learned to really open up my heart and mind to understanding the people that I've listened to. I have my own views, obviously. I learned things about myself when I'm listening to these people. I've sometimes even changed my views, right?
Absolutely.
So it's just the fact that I'm appreciative of all the people that come to me and tell me their stories. And I'm just appreciative of being that curious to know, what are you really thinking? Tell me about it. I love stories, right? I love to hear real stories, So that's the jackpot for me right there. That's the jackpot for iListen, is knowing that these people are going to be heard. So on that topic of non-judgment, I'm really excited to share this. So a few weeks ago, we'd done a project. I had this team with me of videographers, and
wow.
We went on the streets of Edmonton, and we offered free listening to the people on the streets of Edmonton. And it's going to be in conjunction, the video is in conjunction with the International Day of Listening, which is September 15th. And let me tell you, I feel like we created magic that day, because we had people from all walks of life. and they consented to sharing their story and knowing that it's going to go public. But even though we were in a public setting, because there were cars, there were people walking,
honking,
right? Everything.
Yep.
But when we sat down, some of them we sat down, some of them were standing. But I think when I put that microphone and I was looking at them, it was, that's when the magic happened. Some of them really.
So these were complete strangers?
Yeah, just off the streets.
Wow.
And oh man, let me tell you, to me that video, like just because I know it's going to be recorded, when what happened, because I was there, that magic when it comes on, I'm so looking forward to it.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So hopefully, they're in works to edit it, but I'm wanting it to be launched a couple weeks before the International Day of Listening, just because I want to create awareness for listening in general. So the International Day of Listening is actually there's a theme, and this year's theme is called "Listen to Heal." Oh, right? Isn't that what listening is?
Oh my goodness! Considering where we are right now with everything that's been going on,
right?
That is amazing.
So
Perfect timing.
So I'm hoping to have a few more things to do with that day. I'm working on it. So I'm looking forward to it.
So are we talking a couple weeks then? What are you thinking for launch date?
I'm hoping to get it done to launch either end of August.
Okay.
Definitely by the first week of September. So
all right.
Look out for that.
So definitely a couple more weeks. That's not far at all.
I know. I'm so excited. I really am. Okay. So going back to our techniques. So number 4 technique, when I'm listening to my client and I'm listening to their story unfold, I want to continuously show that I'm listening to the client. So I would do this by providing, meaningful responses. That would be kind of like what you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nodding.
Yes.
Even.
And yes. Exactly. Or, tell me more.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it shows that you're kind of nudging that person to just pour their heart and soul, and don't not stopping there, sort of thing. So the other thing is, which is very important, is showing that you understand. So I understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Oh, I get you.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Those are very important responses. Right. Yeah. Number 5 would be clarifying. So that would be maybe asking questions if you're not sure, which you've done too.
Right.
So far I haven't gotten a lot of clients where I had to do that.
Right.
Because, when they talk, they really talk.
Mm-hmm.
They really, a lot of times it's wow, is there anything more you'd like to share?
Yeah.
So, gosh, I hope it's me that makes them feel that way, that makes them want to talk, right? So, but if you were in an average setting with anybody else, clarifying is very important, right? So you'd be asking some questions. Maybe if people weren't talkers, you'd want to present some questions regarding their situation, their life. I could have a client that's really shy, but still shows up for the session. Mm-hmm. And I might have to nudge some more. So I would ask, tell me about your life.
Yeah.
Right? And that's such a broad question. So maybe we could do narrowing it down, right? Mm-hmm. To, tell me about your childhood.
Yeah.
If that's a touchy subject, talk about your family.
Yeah.
Or what is it that you really love? What are you passionate about, right? Regular clients would be a lot easier. I would have a client that maybe, for example, got married last week. Hey, how was your wedding? Tell me about the wedding, right?
Yeah.
I like those happy ones. Those are important to me. Or you had a baby, how's that going? Or you just graduated,
I love the conversations where you can match the energy level.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that important?
It
right?
is.
And hopefully as a listener too, I'm able to lift that energy too. Because some of them will come to me and they're quite shy, right? Mm-hmm. But I think they feel like they know that listening is important even to them, even though they don't know where to start, right?
Yeah.
So if I can nudge them along the way, that would be great, right? Sometimes I have clients who don't have a lot to say. So they booked a 45-minute session, but maybe they only talked for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I always end with, well, how do you feel? Do you feel complete? Is there anything else you'd like to add? No, actually, I'm okay. That was good. You know what I mean? So just as long as they know that I'm there for them, for that time.
Sometimes I find a good one is just clarity, going to your clarity is, so what I'm hearing is.
Yes.
Right. And that gives them the opportunity then, if they do want to expand in that conversation, go a little deeper.
Yes.
And it also gives them confirmation that, yes, you've heard them.
Yes.
I love that one.
That would be more towards the paraphrasing and the summarizing, right? Because you'd be like, okay, this is what I'm hearing you're saying, sort of thing, right? No, that's great, actually. And that's actually the number 6 technique.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, good job, Darcy.
I don't listen for a living, no. All right. So that's extensive, and it shows just how challenging it actually can be to listen, I guess, and listen effectively.
Right, exactly. And that's why I call it deceptively simple.
Yeah.
That skill is really deceptively simple. I mean, when you look at all the, there's books on listening, these thick 100-page books. Like, it's amazing how much there is to grasp just in this whole process, right?
Yeah.
I forgot to mention too, I'm a member of the International Listening Association, and they dive deep into just listening, and we're talking every 360-degree aspect of listening. It's quite amazing. I'm so glad I'm a member. I'm so glad I didn't even know there was one till I was doing this entrepreneur journey. But they're members.
So are there sessions for this?
Yeah, they're just
Can anybody go?
Yes, actually, you can go.
Could I go? That's what I'm getting at. Could I go?
Yeah, if you go to the website, it's listening.org.
Okay.
Check it out. I ended up getting, because I'm a member, I ended up getting, I call her a listening coach. She's my mentor. A lovely lady, high essay. She's a professor at the University of Wisconsin, and her focus, she teaches communications, specifically listening, but she also teaches speaking.
Interesting.
So she's helping me actually with with that presentation part, the training, the workshops, and doing hopefully public speaking engagements. So yeah.
Does this go along with other services that you provide then, or?
Yes, actually, yeah. So I'm hoping, and I've already started. As you know, I know I don't look like I'm an introvert, but I was really nervous to actually be even doing these podcasts.
Well, we were talking about that at the beginning. It's we're both introverts, but you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
We hope.
Exactly.
We hope.
Yeah. So just having this support system where people are encouraging you to to go after your dreams and to go after being, the public speaker. I'm hoping that eventually I will probably do more training and workshops, right?
Okay.
I've already actually started to do, I did instruct a class. So yeah, it's something that I'm working towards.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. So where can we go to book your services?
I go to my website. It's iListenCanada.com. Yeah, so I actually instructed a class on would-be entrepreneurs on listening for businesses. How to actually listen to your potential clients, right?
Right.
Obviously, you need to. That's how you're going to get your business to grow, right? And then once your business grows, you're going to have to learn to listen to the people within the organization. So that's very important too. So I'm looking forward to doing more of those classes. Okay. I'm in the future I will be instructing more, so I'm really excited about that, and that's great for me to practice my presentation skills. I am planning to collaborate. I just connected with a relationship coach.
Oh, I like that.
You're gonna laugh because I had a few men approach me to say, I need to be a better listener to my partner. You should consider doing a workshop. Men were coming to me. Could you believe that?
Actually, I can.
Right? So
yeah,
I thought,
I can.
Okay, I would be happy to if you guys are asking me to do this for sure. So I'm in the works to collaborate with a relationship coach. And he was interested in doing such a workshop. So I'm looking forward to that. I've also I'm in collaboration with a parenting coach, as we talk about that book, right?
Yeah.
For listening parents and children as well. So I'm really excited about all these
That's a lot.
areas. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm really looking forward to it. But if I can bring this, as we know, 2% of the population are formally trained. Why can't I increase that? Why can't I teach other people to be better listeners?
So we touched on this before we started rolling the tape here.
Yeah.
I was asking you, I saw the first podcast.
Yeah.
We've engaged on exactly what you're doing, but I'm reaching out to you. Who am I? Who
right.
contacts you?
That's a great
What is this?
question.
Yes, I need to know.
Yes. So I have two people that I targeted I put it in my business plan. One that I thought would be ideal would be, for example, seniors. I am actually a volunteer at a seniors home, and I can tell firsthand that these people need someone to listen to them.
Yeah.
They just want to talk.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
And they have the best stories.
Right?
Come on.
Oh, and we work at a seniors, veterans live there, right?
Wow.
So they have way more stories to share. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
So that would be one of my ideal clients, because they just want to talk about life, right?
Yeah.
Or their stories. So that's ideal. Another would be somebody, for example, an executive, who's so busy, doesn't have time to date. Not that I want to be a dating service, but
well, we could part two.
Yeah. Right. But I was thinking in terms of their life is so busy, and it doesn't have to be an executive, it could be female or male. Just that they travel a lot, They're like the CEO of a company. So they're working 90 hours a week, right? This person might have their family actually, out of town, right?
Okay.
Could be a single person, right, who's an executive, doesn't have a family in town, and, parents live in Toronto or something, and they don't have time for their son, right? Doesn't even have time to date, right? Doesn't have time even to do social activities with other friends, or doesn't even have a big circle of friends.
Right.
So those would be the kind of people that I would love to have, in my sessions. I obviously am not looking for somebody who has, mental health crisis. I'm not trained in that.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's a very important distinction to make.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So if that is the case, I would refer my client to the proper resources.
Yeah.
Right. You actually do need a licensed professional.
Absolutely.
Right. For that. But having said that, I did have a client who had said to me, that I was a compliment to her. She sees a therapist.
Wow.
So she goes to the therapist to get her life in order, but she comes to me just to talk.
Yeah.
So that's a good separation there. And the fact that she said that, I was a good compliment to that. I thought that was pretty amazing.
Well, I think when you're seeing a counselor or a therapist,
yes,
you're going there anticipating, kind of that medical response that they're going to give you. And maybe sometimes they don't tell you what you want to hear.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And just, regular Melita.
Yeah, exactly.
Trained in listening.
Yes. Actually, that's a very good point. So one of the key things in these sessions is I just listen. I don't give any advice.
Yeah.
I don't give any suggestions. Right. I don't do any of that. Right. I just want you to talk.
Yeah.
Right. And that is so important.
Well, and I think your responses would be 100% natural.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Nothing contrived, nothing
Yes.
that you've gotten from a medical book. It's just what a person wants.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so having done my research on listening and going on this journey has taught me, obviously with the statistics too, listening is really, really needed. I'm hearing from, just even strangers. I'm constantly doing networking events, so I'm talking to other business owners.
Yeah.
You name it. I have not heard one person say that listening is not needed in this world.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm 100% agree with you on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. So like I said, if you're interested in checking out my services or wanting me to listen to you, you can go to my website, iListenCanada.com, go to the Our Services section to see my services, and you can book right there. So
That's awesome.
That's it.
And I'm looking forward to attending some functions with you and,
Yes.
and doing some networking
Yes.
and all those kinds of things.
Yes,
'cause-
I'm very excited too.
Yeah.
I thank you so much, Darcy.
Oh my goodness.
For being a part of this. This means a lot to me.
You know, when I saw what you were doing, sort of before this was even a
Yeah.
thing, I said I need to support.
Oh, thank you.
I just need to get in and kind of that empowering
Yeah.
one another,
Yeah.
right? So,
oh my God,
yeah.
thank you so much.
No, you're so welcome.
My gratitude is, my cup is full.
No, this has been an amazing experience. I appreciate all the information that you just.
Thank
I mean,
you.
for the listeners, sure, but
Yes.
I've learned a lot in this session as
Oh,
well.
wonderful.
Yeah,
That's good. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.